The Galactic Union was a place of shining stars and endless peace. Hundreds of alien races worked together, building a future without war. Yet, peace always came with pride, and pride often brought doubt. When humanity joined the Union, most alien races looked down on them. Humans were newcomers, too young and too reckless from a dangerous planet called Earth. The Union called Earth a death world, a place where everything tried to kill you. To most aliens, it was a miracle humans even survived there. But to humans, survival was just life. Lieutenant Aaron Cole stood at the window of the Thalri Royal Cruiser Radiant Crown, watching the stars move like slow rivers of light. He was one of only 3 humans chosen for this diplomatic mission. His job was simple: protect Princess Liara, daughter of Queen Seraphina, ruler of the Thalri Empire. The Thalri were tall, graceful beings with skin that looked like crystal under sunlight. Their voices were soft but powerful, and their cities shone with living energy. To them, humans looked rough, small, muscular, and unpredictable. Aaron didn't mind. He had heard the whispers when he boarded the ship. The human won't last a week. They're primitive creatures, too emotional. He ignored them. He had survived storms, deserts, and battles on Earth. Babysitting a princess couldn't be that hard. Princess Liara entered the observation deck quietly. Her crystalline skin reflected blue light as she walked. She looked curious, not proud like most royals Aaron had met. "You watch the stars often, Human Cole?" she asked in her melodic voice. Aaron smiled. "Yes, Your Highness, they remind me of home." "Your home is small, yes, and wild?" He chuckled. "Small, yes. Wild, definitely. But beautiful." Liara tilted her head. "Our records say humans fought wars against their own kind for thousands of years." "Why?" Aaron looked at the stars again. "Because freedom is never given. We fight to earn it, even from ourselves." The princess fell silent. For a long time, she just watched him. To her, humans were strange, fragile bodies but strong spirits. And this one, his eyes held something fierce, something alive. 2 days later, the Radiant Crown began its journey through the Draven Corridor, a dangerous sector filled with hidden asteroids. The royal fleet traveled in formation: 3 escort ships, 1 royal cruiser, and 2 supply vessels. Everything was calm until the alarms screamed. "Multiple warp signatures detected. Unidentified ships approaching fast." Aaron rushed to the control deck. Outside, the stars twisted as dark ships emerged from hyperspace. They were black, insect-like, and full of glowing green eyes. The Vornik swarm. Everyone knew the name. The Vornik didn't talk, didn't negotiate. They consumed planets, cities, and even stars. They devoured everything for their hive. "Shields up," shouted Commander Taval, the Thalri officer in charge. "Protect the royal cruiser." The ship shook violently as plasma bolts struck the hull. The corridors flashed red. Aaron grabbed his helmet and sprinted to the princess's chamber. Princess Liara was already there, trying to reach the escape pods with her guards. The corridor around her was chaos: smoke, alarms, and broken glass. "Your Highness," Aaron yelled, pushing past the panic. "We have to move now." One of the Thalri guards glared at him. "Stay back, human. This is royal duty." Before Aaron could reply, a blast tore through the wall. The guard was thrown aside like a doll. Aaron grabbed the princess and shielded her with his body as debris rained around them. When the smoke cleared, he pulled her up. "No time to argue. Come on." She nodded, shaken but determined. Together, they ran through the flaming corridors toward the lower decks. The air smelled of burning crystal and metal. The ship's voice echoed through the halls. "Structural failure in progress. All personnel to evacuation points." Aaron and Liara reached the hangar bay, but it was chaos. Half the escape pods were destroyed. The remaining ones were filling fast. "Pod 5, go," Aaron ordered. They ran to it, but a sharp hiss came from the ceiling. The hull above them cracked, and a Vornik drone dropped down. It had 6 legs and claws like knives. The alien guards froze in fear. The creature hissed, its green eyes burning bright. Aaron drew his sidearm and fired 3 shots. The bullets sparked off its armor, barely slowing it. The Vornik lunged, but Aaron rolled aside and grabbed a fallen plasma rifle. He fired again, this time straight into its open mouth. The drone exploded in acid and smoke. The guards stared. One whispered, "By the stars, the human killed it." Aaron didn't stop. "We're wasting time. Get her to the pod." When they reached the escape chamber, Liara's face turned pale. Only one pod was operational. The others were wrecked by debris. She looked at Aaron. "We can share it." He checked the controls. "No, life support won't handle two." Her eyes filled with disbelief. "Then we both stay." Aaron looked at her gently. "Princess, your people need you. Your mother needs you. This isn't a debate." He guided her into the seat and sealed the hatch. She hit the window with her fist. "Aaron, don't you dare." He smiled softly. "Tell your mother. Humans aren't as weak as they think." Then he pressed the manual override. The pod ejected, launching into the stars. The explosion of the radiant crown lit up the void. The royal cruiser broke apart, its light scattering like shattered diamonds. Inside her pod, Liara watched through, tears as the ship and the man who saved her vanished into the fire. "Aaron," she whispered, her voice shaking, "you saved me." Her pod drifted for hours before the rescue ships found her. When they pulled her aboard, the first words she spoke were not of her injuries or fear. She simply said, "Find him. Find the human." But they found nothing. No body. No signal. Only silence among the stars. On the Thalri homeworld, the news spread fast. The Queen wept in silence when she heard. The human who no one trusted had given his life for her daughter. In the royal court, whispers changed tone. The human did this. He gave his life for the princess. The Queen ordered a search across every sector. But the Vornik were gone. Their swarm had disappeared into deep space. At night, Princess Liara stood on her balcony, watching the stars. She remembered his words. "We fight to earn freedom even from ourselves." Her heart ached, but in her pain, she felt something new. Respect and a promise. Weeks later, during a royal ceremony, Queen Seraphina spoke to her people. "Among the stars, there are beings of power and wisdom. But one being from a small wild world showed us something greater. Courage." She raised a crystal shard carved with Aaron's name. "Let no one forget the human who saved our bloodline. His name shall be remembered in every age." The hall fell silent. The light of the crystals reflected the word carved in gold, Aaron Cole. The Thalri Empire was mourning. The loss of the royal cruiser Radiant Crown had shaken the galaxy. Only one survivor returned from the wreck, their beloved Princess Liara. Her story spread like wildfire. A human soldier had saved her life and sacrificed his own. A creature from a so-called death world had shown courage greater than any known warrior. But while the Empire cried and honored his name, far away in the dark edges of space something stirred, something that refused to die. Aaron Cole opened his eyes to pain and silence. His body ached like fire and his helmet's visor was cracked. Everything around him was black and cold. He tried to move, but his limbs were trapped under twisted metal. The air was thin, and his suit's oxygen warning blinked red. He remembered the explosion, the flash, the flames, and then nothing. "Still alive," he muttered weakly. "Guess I don't know how to quit." His training kicked in. Calmly, he reached for the emergency injector on his arm and pressed it. The adrenaline shot filled his veins, clearing his mind. He looked around. Through the broken hull, he saw faint green lights moving in the distance. "The Vornik, of course," he said bitterly. "You vultures came back." He tried to radio anyone, Earth, the Thalri fleet, anyone, but his comms were dead. Then his suit's scanner beeped. It detected movement, approaching fast. Before he could react, something hit him hard, and the world went dark again. Back in the Thalri capital city of Chrysara, the royal court gathered in silence. Queen Seraphina sat on her crystal throne, her eyes cold but full of grief. Princess Liara knelt before her mother, guilt heavy on her shoulders. "Your Majesty," said General Varix, bowing low, "our search teams found no trace of the human. His ship was vaporized. The Vornik swarm retreated beyond our scanners. The Queen's voice trembled slightly. Then it is true. The human gave his life for my daughter. Liara looked up. He did more than that, Mother. He showed us what bravery means. He didn't think of rank or power. He just acted, the Queen nodded slowly. A death worlder saving royal blood. The galaxy will remember this. She turned to her guards. Prepare a message to the Galactic Union. Let every species hear his name, Aaron Cole of Earth. Weeks passed. Across the stars, humans received the news. Earth's media called him a hero. Soldiers whispered his story like a prayer. Children drew his image beside alien princesses and starships. But one person refused to move on. Princess Liara. She dreamed of that day again and again. The ship burning. His face behind the cracked visor, his calm voice saying, "Tell your mother humans aren't as weak as they think." One night she went to the royal archives. The guards tried to stop her, but she insisted. She searched through holographic files about Earth, about its oceans, storms, and endless courage. "Your Highness," said her handmaiden softly, "why look at this? It only brings pain." Liara touched a glowing image of Earth. "Because I owe him my life. I must understand what kind of world makes people like him." Far from her world, Aaron woke again, but this time, not to pain. He was lying in a dim chamber filled with green mist. Strange shapes moved around him, tall insectoid figures with glowing carapaces. The air smelled like metal and decay. He tried to move, but his arms were bound. His body was covered with strange black cables. One of the Vornik stepped closer. Its voice was a hiss that echoed in his mind. "Survivor human, you will teach us." "Endurance," Aaron clenched his jaw. "You're not the first to try, Bug." The Vornik tilted its head. "You burned. Yet you live. We wish to understand. Your resistance," he glared. "It's called willpower. Something you'll never understand." The creature hissed in confusion, but it continued injecting data probes into his arm. Every time it tried to read his mind, Aaron thought of Earth, his mother, his friends, the endless blue sky. He focused so hard that the machine overloaded. Sparks flew and the Vornik screeched. Aaron grinned through the pain. Guess humans bite back. The swarm didn't kill him. They studied him, tested him, but his stubbornness frustrated them. The Vornik Queen herself became interested. She ordered him kept alive. "Strong prey," she said in her harsh telepathic voice. "Maybe we will learn strength from this one." Back on the Thalri homeworld, Liara stood before her mother once more. "Mother, I want to travel to Earth," she said. Queen Seraphina frowned. "Earth? Why?" "To meet his people. To give them what he deserves, a place among us. I want them to know his sacrifice." The Queen was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Go, my child. But remember, you go as a royal. Do not show weakness," Liara smiled sadly. "He taught me that weakness can also be strength." The journey to Earth took 2 weeks. When her ship entered orbit, thousands of humans gathered to greet her. It was the first time a Thalri princess had ever visited Earth. The human press called it, "The Star Queen's daughter visits home of hero." Liara stepped onto the landing platform, wearing a cloak of white crystal. Her guards stayed behind as she walked through the crowd. People reached out, not in fear, but in respect. At the end of the platform stood a small, older woman. Aaron's mother. Liara approached her slowly. "Mrs. Cole?" The woman nodded, her eyes wet with tears. "You're the princess my boy saved." Liara bowed deeply. "Your son saved more than my life. He saved our people's honor. I came to thank you, and to promise that his name will live forever." The woman's lips trembled. He always wanted to see the stars. Now he's one of them. Liara placed a glowing crystal shard in her hands. "This is from our sacred temple. It carries his name in light. Wherever you keep it, it will shine." The crystal glowed softly as the human mother held it close. "Thank you," she whispered. For the first time since the tragedy, Liara smiled. When Liara returned home, the Queen called a great gathering. Leaders from many alien worlds attended, including human diplomats. A massive structure of living crystal rose in the center of the city. It reflected every color of the stars. "This," said the Queen, her voice echoing through the crowd, "is the monument of light. It will forever bear the name of the human who gave his life for us." The crowd bowed their heads as a beam of white energy lit up the sky. Aaron Cole, human of Earth. The name shone across the horizon. In that moment, the entire galaxy watched. Even the Galactic Union broadcasted the event live. But among the stars far away, inside a dark Vornic vessel, Aaron Cole opened his eyes again. He saw a faint blue light flicker on his suit, the same beacon linked to his military frequency. He didn't know it yet, but that single signal reached far beyond the swarm's ship. It echoed into the void, bouncing between relay stations until finally it reached Thalry space. And on a quiet night, Princess Liara's console beeped softly. A message appeared on her screen. Signal detected. Source: Human Beacon. ID: Latin Aaron Cole. Her heart stopped. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." She ran to the communications hall, tears in her eyes.
"Mother, the human Aaron, his signal just appeared."
The Queen rose slowly from her throne. "Are you certain?" "Yes. It's his frequency, his code, everything." The Queen stared at the glowing hologram for a long moment. Then in a quiet voice she said, "Then perhaps the sacred name is not just a memory, but a calling." That night Liara stood on her balcony again. She looked up at the stars, the same stars she had once watched with the human who saved her. Somewhere out there, in the endless dark, he was alive. And she swore to herself, "I will find you, Aaron, no matter what it takes." The beacon blinked once more, brighter this time, like a heartbeat. The legend of Aaron Cole was no longer just a story of sacrifice. It was becoming something greater, a story of survival. The hall of the Thalry Royal Palace glowed with blue light. The crystals lining its walls reflected the image of the galaxy above, a sign of peace and unity. But peace had turned quiet and heavy since the loss of Lieutenant Aaron Cole. It had been 3 months since Princess Liara's return from her journey to Earth. The Monument of Light, built in Aaron's honor, shone brightly every night in the center of the capital city. His name was no longer just words. It had become a symbol of courage. Every Thalry child now learned about the human who saved the princess. Schools told stories of his sacrifice, and soldiers took an oath by his name before leaving for missions. But for the Queen and her daughter, his memory was more than a legend. It was personal. Queen Seraphina stood on the balcony of her throne room watching the monument in the distance. Its shining core pulsed like a beating heart. Her advisor, General Varix, entered quietly. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing low, "we have confirmed the human beacon Princess Liara detected." "It is real." The Queen turned sharply. "Real? How far?" "Beyond our borders, deep in the void near the Vornic territories. The signal is weak but steady." Liara entered the room, her eyes bright with hope. "Mother, I told you. It's him. Aaron is alive." The Queen raised a hand. "Calm yourself, child. A signal is not a man." "But it's his frequency," Liara insisted. "No one else uses that code. He could be trapped, waiting for rescue." The Queen looked at her daughter's face, so full of belief, so much like the young human's determination she'd heard about. Finally, she sighed. "Prepare a ship. I will not ignore the sacred name. If there's even a chance he lives, we will find him." The mission was top secret. Only a handful of Thalry soldiers and 1 human officer were chosen for the search. The ship was named Starshield, small but fast, built for stealth operations. As it left orbit, thousands watched silently. To the Thalry, this was not just a rescue. It was an act of faith. Liara stood at the front window as the stars stretched into blue lines during the warp jump. "Hold on, Aaron," she whispered. "We're coming." Meanwhile, deep in Vornic space, Aaron Cole was not just alive, he was enduring. He had been imprisoned inside a biolab, a place filled with strange green light and hissing machines. The Vornic scientists examined him day and night, trying to understand why his body healed so quickly, why he didn't break like others. They injected him with toxins, exposed him to radiation, but every time he survived. They called him Subject Alpha. The Vornic Queen often appeared as a projection in his cell. Her voice scratched inside his head. "You are different, human. You fight even in silence." Aaron stared back. "It's called being stubborn. We study you to become stronger. When we learn your secret, we will make your kind extinct." Aaron laughed bitterly. "Good luck. We've been trying to do that to ourselves for centuries." The Queen hissed in anger, but she couldn't hide her fascination. No creature she had ever captured resisted like this one. Aaron used his time to observe. He learned the layout of the base, the guards' routines, the timing of their patrols. He counted days using scratches on the wall. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw Liara's face, the look of fear when he pushed her into the escape pod. He whispered to himself, "Hope she made it. Hope she's safe." He didn't know that she was already coming for him. Days later, the Starshield reached the outer Vornik sector. The system was quiet, too quiet. General Varric studied the holographic display. Multiple derelict ships ahead. No signs of life, Liara's heart pounded. "Can we trace the beacon?" The communications officer nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. The signal is coming from inside that wreck." On the screen, a massive Vornik ship floated lifeless, covered in scars and ice. It looked like a corpse drifting through the stars. The Queen, watching through hologram from the palace, gave her command. "Find him. Bring him home." The Thalri boarding team entered the wreck carefully. The corridors were dark and filled with strange organic walls pulsing faintly. "This place feels alive," one soldier whispered. Liara held her plasma pistol tight. "Keep moving. Follow the signal." They moved deeper into the ship, their lights cutting through the thick mist. Suddenly, a faint metallic sound echoed. The soldiers froze. From the shadows, a broken drone crawled across the wall, sparks dripping from its body. Barracks aimed his rifle. "Destroy it." But before he could fire, a voice came from the darkness, a weak human voice. "Wait. Don't shoot." The soldiers turned. There, leaning against the wall, was a man in a torn spacesuit. His helmet was cracked, his uniform covered in black residue. But his eyes, they were alive. Liara's heart stopped. "Aaron?" He looked up slowly, his face pale but smiling. "You took your time, Princess." The soldiers stared in disbelief. The human who was supposed to be dead stood before them. Liara ran to him, helping him to his feet. "You're alive. The whole galaxy thinks you're gone." Aaron grinned weakly. "Guess I didn't get the memo." Barracks opened his comms. "Your Majesty, we found him. The human lives." Back on the palace screen, Queen Seraphina stood frozen. She closed her eyes and whispered, "The Sacred One returns." They carried Aaron aboard the Starshield. The medical team treated his wounds and removed the Vornik implants. But he refused to rest. "Their hive isn't far," he said. "They're building something." "A weapon." Liara frowned. "A weapon? For what?" Aaron's face hardened. "To wipe out both our worlds. They said the war isn't over, it's just beginning." The Queen's hologram appeared. "Human, you have done enough. Rest." Aaron shook his head. "If I rest, others die. I know where their queen is. You have one chance to stop her, and I can lead you there." The Queen looked at him amazed. "You've been tortured, imprisoned, yet you still fight?" Aaron met her gaze calmly. "That's what humans do. We fight until it's done." The Starshield set course for the coordinates Aaron gave. Through the front window they saw the Vornik hive world, an enormous sphere of metal and living tissue. Glowing like a black sun, the sight filled even the Thalri with fear. Liara whispered, "How can we fight something that big?" Aaron smirked. "Same way humans fight everything bigger than us, hit it where it hurts." He pulled up a hologram showing the hive's weak points. "They have a power core at the center. If we destroy it, the hive dies." Barracks frowned. "That would require a suicide run." Aaron looked at him steadily. "I've done it before." Liara's eyes filled with tears. "No, not again. You just came back." Aaron smiled softly. "I won't do it alone this time." The Queen's fleet prepared for war. For the first time in history, humans and Thalri joined forces in one armada. The Queen named the operation Cole's Flame, in honor of the man who had already given them hope once. As the fleet readied for battle, the Queen stood before her people. Her voice carried across every ship. "One human taught us that courage is not born from power but from heart. Today we fight in his name. For Earth, for Thalri, for freedom." The soldiers roared in response, their ships shining with blue and gold light. On the Starshield, Aaron looked out the window, watching the stars again, just like the first time he met Liara. She stood beside him quietly. "You never give up, do you?" He smiled. "Humans don't do easy endings." Liara placed her hand on the glass. "If you die this time, I'll make sure the stars remember you forever." Aaron turned to her, his voice gentle. "Then I'll have to make sure I come back again." "Can't keep making you cry, Princess." They both smiled, though they knew the fight ahead would decide the fate of two worlds. Far below, in the heart of the hive world, the Vornik Queen felt the coming storm. Her voice echoed through her swarm. The human lives. Prepare the defense. The fire returns to burn us. Her drone screamed in rage as the sky above filled with human and Thalri warships. The Queen's claws trembled, not in anger, but in fear, because even she knew now. Deathworlders do not die easily. The galaxy was quiet for years after Aaron Cole's sacrifice. The Vornik swarm had vanished. The Thalri Empire rebuilt their fleets, and the humans continued to expand among the stars. But for Princess Liara, peace never felt whole. She still dreamed of that Terran pilot, the man who gave his life so she could live. Every year, on the Day of Remembrance, the Thalri held a ceremony under the Monument of Light. The Queen, her mother, would say his name with honor. His story had become legend among the Thalri. Children spoke of the human flame, the one whose courage saved their future. But deep inside, Liara still carried guilt. "I live because he died," she whispered whenever she saw the monument glow. "I should have been the one." Then one morning, everything changed. The signal from the Void Liara was aboard her ship, Radiant Dawn, leading a diplomatic mission near the edge of explored space. The crew was calm until the sensor officer's voice trembled through the bridge. "Captain, we've picked up something strange. It's an old Terran military beacon." Liara's eyes widened. "Terran out here?" The officer nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Frequency matches an ancient code, Terran Defense Signal 79 Alpha." Liara froze. That code was the same as the distress frequency used by Aaron's squadron years ago. No one had used it since. "Where is it coming from?" she asked. The officer turned to his console. "From a derelict ship drifting near the Vornik border." The bridge went silent. Even after their defeat, the Vornik were feared. Their worlds were sealed off, full of deadly radiation and strange biosignals. No sane ship ventured close, but Liara's heart beat fast. "Set course to intercept," she ordered. "Captain," her second officer protested, "the Queen will not approve." "I am not asking for approval," Liara said firmly. "If that signal is real, I need to know who sent it." The ghost ship hours later, the Radiant Dawn dropped out of warp near a massive, broken vessel. It was dark and scarred, floating silently among asteroid debris. The hull carried the mark of the Vornik swarm. "Scan for life," Liara said. The officer shook his head. "None detected." "Wait. There's faint human tech inside. Old model Terran." Her pulse raced. "Prepare an away team." "I'm going myself." The crew hesitated but obeyed. Minutes later, Liara stepped into the Vornik ship. Her suit lights cut through thick black smoke. The air was cold, stale, and full of strange clicking echoes. The corridors were twisted metal and organic growth, half machine, half flesh. "Stay sharp," she whispered. "This place feels alive." The deeper they went, the stranger it became. The walls pulsed faintly like breathing. There were shattered pods everywhere, some still filled with dried green fluid. Then Liara's scanner beeped. Energy reading ahead. Strong signal. They entered a wide chamber. In the center stood a human cryopod, old, damaged, but still active. The Terran flag was faintly visible on its surface. "By the stars," Liara gasped. "This can't be real." She brushed the frost off the pod's glass and her heart stopped. Inside lay Aaron Cole. His face was older, scarred but unmistakably human. The human flame returns. "Get the medical unit here," Liara shouted. "Now!" The team rushed to open the pod. Systems hissed and lights flickered. Then the cryo chamber released a burst of cold air, and the man inside gasped for breath. He coughed violently, eyes fluttering open. "Where am I?" Liara knelt beside him. "You're safe. You're among friends." Aaron stared at her, confused. His voice was weak. I know that face." "You were the princess." Tears filled her eyes. "Yes, Aaron, you saved me." He looked around at the alien ship and frowned. "Vornik, they caught me." He groaned and touched his temple. "Experiments. Years of pain. But how long has it been?" Liara took his hand gently. "Almost 7 years." He went silent, eyes wide. 7 years. The medical officer injected a stabilizer. "His vitals are low, but he'll live." When they returned to the Radiant Dawn, the news spread instantly. "The human flame lives." The Queen herself contacted the ship. Her voice trembled when she saw him on screen. "Aaron Cole, you have returned from death itself." Aaron managed a small smile. "Guess humans are hard to kill, Your Majesty." But joy soon turned to fear, because Aaron brought terrible news. The coming storm. Aaron sat in the strategy chamber, surrounded by holomaps. His memory was hazy, but fragments returned. The Vornik weren't gone, he said. They were rebuilding, studying me, trying to understand human biology. They wanted to use it. Use it? Liara asked. Aaron nodded grimly. They learned how humans survive against odds. They called it the endurance gene. They want to breed it into their hive, make themselves unstoppable. The Queen listened in silence. You mean they plan to attack again? Aaron met her gaze. Yes, and this time they'll hit both Earth and Thalri-Prime at once. The Queen clenched her crystal fists. Then we will strike first. Aaron shook his head. No, we can't. Their main hive is hidden deep in a dead sector. It's guarded by a gravity storm. A direct attack will kill thousands. Liara looked at him. Then what do we do? Aaron stood slowly. I know their systems. I can sneak in and plant a beacon. The fleet can warp directly into their hive and destroy it in one strike. Liara's heart sank. That's suicide. Aaron gave her a small smile, the same one he wore years ago. So is saving you. Guess I'm good at impossible things. Between duty and heart that night, Liara found Aaron alone in the ship's hangar, staring at the stars through the window. You always find trouble, she said softly. He chuckled. Or maybe trouble finds me. They stood quietly for a moment. Liara finally spoke. You don't have to go. You've already given enough. Aaron looked at her. You don't understand. I didn't die to be remembered as some hero. I did it because it was right. And if I can stop another war, I'll do it again. Tears filled her eyes. You can't save everyone. Maybe not, he said gently, but I can try. Liara stepped closer. Then I'm going with you. He shook his head. No. If something happens, your people need you. You're the future, her voice trembled. And what about you? What are you? He smiled sadly. I'm just the guy who keeps trying. The mission begins. 2 days later, the radiant dawn arrived near the dead sector, the border of the Vornik hive. The gravity storms flashed with red lightning. It looked like the mouth of hell. Aaron suited up in black armor, modified by both human and Thalri engineers. It had a reactor core that glowed faint blue. Liara stood by as he prepared to board the stealth shuttle. Come back alive, she whispered. He gave a small nod. I'll try. Before the hatch closed, she pressed something into his hand, a small crystal pendant. It carries our royal frequency, so I'll know if your heart still beats. He looked at it, then back at her. Thank you, Princess. Liara, she corrected. Call me Liara. Aaron smiled faintly. Then wish me luck, Liara. I don't believe in luck, she said softly. I believe in you. The revelation. Aaron's shuttle slipped through the storm, dodging collapsing asteroids and energy bursts. He finally reached the hive, an enormous black sphere pulsing with red veins. He landed on its surface and entered through a maintenance tunnel. The air smelled of acid and death. His suit sensors screamed with biosigns. He found the central chamber, a heart-like core glowing with dark energy. Around it were hundreds of pods filled with embryos, some half human, half Vornik. Aaron's blood ran cold. So that's their plan. They had been trying to create hybrid soldiers using his DNA. He realized he wasn't just a prisoner. They had used him as the base for their new army. He activated the beacon and set the detonation timer. Let's end this once and for all. But as he turned to leave, a massive Vornik creature appeared, the Hive Queen herself. You are the source, she hissed. You will not escape again. Aaron raised his plasma rifle. I didn't come to escape. The battle was brutal. His armor cracked, systems failed, but he fought with pure human will. Finally, he triggered the overload manually. Tell Liara, he whispered through his comm, that humans never stop fighting. The beacon flashed. The hive began to collapse. The Queen's Neon, the radiant dawn, alarms blared. The beacon signal turned red, then disappeared. Liara stood frozen, clutching the crystal pendant. Its light blinked once, then went dark. Aaron, she whispered, tears falling silently. Moments later, a massive explosion appeared on the view screen. The Vornik hive world shattered into dust. The invasion was over. The Queen appeared on the comms, her eyes wet. He did it. Liara knelt before the screen. Yes, but he's gone again. The Queen placed her hand over her heart. Then his name shall be sacred once more. The stars were silent after the war ended. The Vornik swarm, The most feared enemy of the galaxy was gone. But so was Aaron Cole, the human who had once again given his life so others could live. For days, the fleets of the Galactic Union searched through the ashes of the Vornic hive world. Every sensor, every ship, every drone looked for one signal, Aaron's. But there was nothing. Only burned metal and drifting dust. On the radiant dawn, Princess Liara stood on the bridge, staring at the fading glow of the explosion. The crystal pendant she had given Aaron now hung cold and lifeless against her armor. "He did it," she whispered. "He saved us all. Again." The Queen's tears when the news reached the Thalri homeworld. Queen Seraphina stood before her people with tears streaming down her shining crystal face. Even the oldest warriors bowed their heads in silence. She raised her voice so all could hear. "Once a human gave his life to save my daughter. Now he has given it again to save us all. His heart burned brighter than any star, and that flame will never die." That day, the Queen declared a new era in the galaxy, the era of unity. The Thalri and humans were now allies, bound by the memory of one man. The Queen ordered that every city of the Thalri would build a monument to Aaron Cole. His name would be carved in crystal, glowing eternally with golden light. And at the center of the royal capital, a new hall was constructed, the Sanctuary of the Flame. Inside, a massive statue of Aaron stood, his hand outstretched toward the sky, his pilot helmet resting at his feet. When the Queen saw the completed monument, she whispered, "You saved my daughter, my people, and my soul. Your name will be sacred for all time." The princess's mission, Princess Liara, could not rest. She had lost him once before, but this time it felt even heavier. She dreamed of him every night, the look in his eyes before he entered the hive, the sound of his voice saying, "Humans never stop fighting." One morning, she made a decision. "I will go to Earth," she told her mother. "He gave his life for me. I must tell his people who he truly was." The Queen nodded slowly. "Then go, my child. Carry his story among the stars. Let all know what one human heart can do." Liara's ship crossed the void of space, traveling to the blue planet where Aaron was born. The visit to Earth was smaller than she expected. Beautiful, green, and alive with oceans and cities. She landed near a quiet town in the mountains where a small memorial stone stood in a garden. The name on it read, "Aaron Cole, Terran Defense Force, Hero of the Thalri Alliance." An old woman was tending to the flowers nearby. When she looked up, her eyes widened at the tall alien figure of Liara. "Are you from the stars?" the woman asked, trembling slightly. Liara bowed her head. "I am Princess Liara of the Thalri. Are you Aaron Cole's mother?" The woman nodded slowly, her hands shaking. "Yes, I'm his mother. I thought I'd never hear his name again." Liara knelt before her, holding the crystal pendant that no longer glowed. "Your son saved my life, my people, and my world. His name is sacred among us." Tears filled the woman's eyes. "He always wanted to help people, even when he was a boy." Liara placed the pendant in her hand. "This belongs to you. It carried his heartbeat once." The old woman smiled faintly. "Then I'll keep it close. Thank you, Princess." Before leaving, Liara planted a single Thalri crystal beside the memorial stone. It began to glow softly, casting warm golden light over the flowers. "Now," she said, "the light of your son will never fade." The order of Cole years passed. The story of Aaron Cole spread across galaxies. The Queen established a new tradition among her people, the Order of Cole. Every Thalri soldier, before entering battle, would kneel before the Monument of Light and say the sacred vow, "I fight not for victory, but for those I protect. As the human flame once did, so shall I." This oath united not only the Thalri but also the humans who served beside them. The Galactic Union grew stronger under this symbol of courage and sacrifice. A special academy was built in Aaron's honor, the Cole Interstellar Academy, where both human and alien cadets trained together. The academy's crest showed a single flame inside a crystal hand, the unity of flesh and light. The whisper in the stars one night, many years later, the Queen stood alone on her palace balcony. The stars shimmered quietly. Her daughter, now older and a respected admiral, joined her. "You still think of him," Liara said softly. The Queen nodded. "Every day. Sometimes I feel as if his spirit still watches over us." At that very moment, the palace sensors flickered. A faint signal pulsed through the system, an ancient Terran beacon. Liara turned sharply. That's impossible. That frequency? It's his! They traced the signal to deep space, somewhere near the ruins of the Vornik hive. The Queen whispered, "Could he have survived again?" Liara smiled faintly. "Maybe it's only the echo of his ship, or maybe some legends never end." The Queen closed her eyes, then let his echo sing forever. The signal faded after a few moments, but it left a strange calm in the room, like a final farewell. The flame lives. On 50 years later, the galaxy changed completely. The Vornik were gone, and the Human-Thal-Re alliance became the strongest power in known space. Every year, both species celebrated the Day of the Flame, a holiday to honor courage and unity. Children wore small crystal pendants shaped like tiny flames. Schools told the story of the human who saved an alien princess, not for glory, but because it was right. On that day, Liara, now Queen Liara, walked to the sanctuary of the flame. Her hair shimmered with silver, her eyes calm and full of memory. She stopped before the statue of Aaron. It looked as proud as ever, strong, fearless, alive. She placed her hand on the statue's base and whispered, "You changed everything, Aaron. You showed us the meaning of honor. The galaxy remembers you, and so do I." The statue began to glow brighter for a moment, as if answering her. The light reflected in her eyes like starlight. Legacy among the stars many centuries later, when ships from new civilizations explored ancient ruins of the Thal-Re, they found the sanctuary of the flame still glowing. The name Aaron Cole was carved in thousands of languages, translated and honored by species that hadn't even existed in his time. Some explorers said they could still hear a faint heartbeat when standing before the monument. Others claimed they saw a human figure walking among the stars near the Thal-Re system, a lone pilot watching over the galaxy he saved. Whether true or not, one thing remained certain: his name had become eternal. The final words, on the 1000th anniversary of his sacrifice, the galaxy held a great ceremony. Ships from hundreds of species gathered near Thal-Re Prime, surrounding the Monument of Light in orbit. The largest ship, a joint Human-Thal-Re vessel named the Cole's Promise, broadcasted a message across all frequencies. It was Liara's voice, recorded long ago. He was just one man, a human who believed in doing what was right. He did not fight for fame or empire, but for kindness, for life, for hope. We are his legacy. As long as there is courage, his name will shine. As her words ended, the Monument of Light blazed brighter than ever before, illuminating the entire star system. Every ship, every being, every planet paused to honor the name that had united them all. Aaron, Cole, the human flame, the savior of the Thal-Re, the man who made two galaxies believe in the strength of one heart, and somewhere in the endless dark between stars, a faint Terran voice seemed to whisper, "Humans never stop fighting.